Good morning, everyone. We want to welcome you all to Reading 365 on this Saturday morning, November 21st. We're going into next week is Thanksgiving, and we're really excited to have Sarah Ortega back. Sarah is going to be sharing a story with us. She did such a fantastic job, and because the demand was so overwhelming for her to come back, return, people put in petitions for her. I think you had like 50,000 signatures for you to come back. You and your husband have done such a great job being a part of Reading 365. We appreciate you greatly. And your son as well. What's his name?
Evan.
Evan. So, it wouldn't be a bad idea if he made a cameo as well.
Oh, he asked to. He said, "Can I read the second book?" And I said, "Maybe next time."
Okay.
So don't be surprised.
So we're really happy to have you back. And what do you have for us this morning, please?
So this morning, we're going to be talking a little bit about imagination and creativity. We have Louise Loves Art. And so this
Very
is
good. And I think that fits well into, by profession, you're a graphic designer, right?
Yes,
So
that's correct.
That's just fantastic. And we just love artsy people who
Yes.
just live in their imagination.
Absolutely.
And you being a den mom, working with kids all the time, that's just perfect and just a beautiful thing. So we thank you for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, take it away.
Okay. Louise Loves Art. And this is actually one of my favorite additions to the book because not even the book cover is wasted. Even the book cover has art. Louise Loves Art by Kelly Light. I love art. It's my imagination on the outside. So little time, so much to draw. One of these drawings will be my masterpiece, the greatest drawing I have ever done. To be a great artist, you have to notice everything, every line, every curve. Wait, hold that pose. I will capture your catness. I've done it. So fierce, so feline, so fantastic. A masterpiece. Louise? Not now, Art. I have to get ready for my show. I have to hang each picture just so. Louise? It's my pièce de résistance. I know the perfect spot for it. The Gallery du Fridge. Louise. Ah, Art, how could you? It's my drawing, my masterpiece. Sorry. Oh, Art, I love it. It's your masterpiece, and I know the perfect spot for it. Voila! The end. So in this story, you'll notice that you think when it says Louise loves art, that, the focus is really going to be on her art and the pictures that she's drawing. And pretty soon you realize that her little brother's name is Art, and that really she loves her brother so much that she, the fact that he drew on her drawing, um, it's not ruined, right? It's a collaborative effort at that point. She sees the beauty in what he's done, that he's created something that represents them together, and it's more than just the piece that she originally created. So out of destruction came new life.
Beautiful. And as they say, there are no mistakes in art, right?
Absolutely. Happy accidents.
Yeah. Can you think of a time where you've made an accident and it turned out to be something very creative and beautiful?
Like several, but my absolute favorite was when I first met my husband Tony. It was in art college, and I was having a hard time doing a self portrait. I had done half the face. I don't know why I'd chosen to do half the face first,
Mhm.
and I just couldn't get the other half of the face right. And so he took over and he started doing something totally different on the other side that was very unexpected. But the combination of the two styles just really, it's like when you can see two halves of a whole, and the way that somebody else sees you is never the way that you see yourself, and somehow it can make it more beautiful.
Yeah. And so that's that collaboration that you talked about even in the book.
Yes, yes.
So wonderful. Yeah.
And I do have a second book called Beagle. Now,
Okay.
this is a favorite book in our house.
Okay.
Hopefully, it'll be a favorite in your house as well. And again, a really good use of title papers, right? So, a lot of books, when you look at them, the title papers are just a plain color, but these ones have such intricate drawings. My son loves to look at these and tell me which ones are his favorite and why. And every creature that you see here is stylistically just a little bit different. So art, really, if you haven't come across anything that strikes you, if you haven't ever seen a picture or a painting or even a sculpture that has touched you or moved you, eventually you will. You just haven't come across your style yet. The Adventures of Beagle, the Unimaginary Friend, by Dan Santant. He was born on an island far away where imaginary friends were created. Here they lived and played, each eagerly waiting to be imagined by a real child. Every night he stood under the stars, hoping for his turn to be picked by a child and given a special name. He waited for many nights. But his turn never came. His mind filled with thoughts of all the amazing things that were keeping his friend from imagining him. So rather than waiting, he did the unimaginable. He sailed through unknown waters and faced many scary things, but thinking about his friend gave him the courage to journey on. Until he reached the real world. The real world was a strange place. No kids were eating cake, no one stopped to hear the music, and everyone needed nap time. Then he finally saw something familiar, so he followed. He had a good feeling about this place, but he looked everywhere and he could not find his friend. He climbed to the top of a tree and looked out, wishing and hoping his friend would come. But no one came. He thought about how far he'd come and how long he'd waited and felt very sad. Then he heard a noise below. Hello! Her face was friendly and familiar, and there was something about her that felt just right. At first, they weren't sure what to do. Neither of them had made a friend before, but after a little while, they realized they were perfect together. And she's named him Beagle. Beagle and Alice had many new adventures. They shared their snacks. They told funny jokes. The world began.
Yay, he's here.
Briefly, he had taken his shirt off because it was warm, so the world began to feel a little less strange. And together, they did the unimaginable. The end. So that was Beagle. And I would say Beagle is probably the most requested book in this house. If there's ever a time when they're not
Okay.
sure, and it was, I had 3 books today, and this was the third. My son decided that this was not going to make the cut, even though it's beautiful. That it had to be Beagle.
Okay. So they did the unimaginable, right? What
Mhm.
what did they do?
Well, I guess it really depends on how you like to think about it. But I think my first favorite unimaginable thing that was done is the fact that Beagle didn't wait, right? He knew what he wanted and he knew the thing that he was waiting for. And he said, well, why am I waiting for this? Why not help myself? Why not do it myself? And so he went to the real world and he saw that it was a gray and kind of dark place sometimes. And he thought, well, how can I make this place brighter? How can I make it happier? How can me and my friends come into this place and change it for the better? And I'm not going to
Yeah,
wait for that.
yeah,
So I like to think the unimaginable things that they do are just things that haven't been thought yet.
yeah. That's wonderful. Be innovative and take initiative, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's how we
wonderful.
change the world.
Yeah, that's right. We see a problem, we, you know, take steps to solve it, you
Yes.
know?
Uh,
Yeah,
and I don't know if
wonderful.
anybody noticed, I had somebody join me
Oh
midweek.
yeah.
uh,
Now, his or her name?
this is Lucy, and Lucy is cranky and very old. But I adopted her from a shelter in Lancaster many years ago, along with her sister who was downstairs. Uh,
Nice, nice. Yes, I heard her before I saw her. I'm like, is that a cat? You got
yes.
sound effects as a part of the book.
Yes, I heard her creeping
Beautiful.
in.
I
She is never very far away.
wonderful, wonderful. So what drew you to graphic design?
Well, I just always I loved art, I loved drawing, I loved music, and when I was in high school, I went to a high school that was primarily like a lot of the people that I went to school with wound up going to Harvard or to they became doctors and business people, and it was very much a case where I didn't fit in, and I think a lot of kids kind of resonate with that, like the not fitting in, and trying to find out where their niche
Yeah,
is. And so much of school now
yeah,
is less art, less music, and more focus on STEM, which is good. STEM is good, but it needs to be balanced. And my parents, the first thing they said to me when I was trying to pick a college, my mom said, "Look, ever since you were little, if you had art class first thing in the morning," she goes, "if you came home from school, I could get nothing else out of you. That's all you wanted to talk about. It's the only thing you actually remembered." And she's like, I could tell by the way that you light up when you talk about it. Let's see what there is available to you there." And I was worried because my brother, who I've always been keenly competitive with, he's exactly 1 year older, very, very, very smart, had gone to a liberal arts college and was studying to be a sociology major. And I thought, well, if I go and do something artistic, then I'm never going to be able to compete with him. And it was really interesting to see both my parents, who are an accountant and an engineer, sort of steer me in this direction because they knew this is where I would be happiest. Um, that, it's not about competing
Wonderful.
with other people, it's about where do you feel you're happiest? Because if I had gone to a liberal arts college, if I'd become a writer, if I had studied business or accounting, would I have stuck with it? Would I have been happy long term? And
You
as a
wouldn't be.
parent, that's what you want for your kids. You just want them to be happy. Um, so
Correct.
ultimately, I guess my parents, so my love of art influenced my parents to help push me in that direction. So
Wonderful. I'm glad you have smart and compassionate parents
very much.
they're insightful. That's beautiful. I'm so glad they did that. And you talked about, kids, and allowing them to be themselves. And of course, we have the Londonderry connection, and that
Yes,
school speaks greatly to that, right?
very
And
much
so,
so.
we're really, yeah. So
That's
why
what we
don't, why
love
don't you
most
talk
about it.
about what's that?
That's what we love most about Londonderry.
Is what?
Oh, that our kids are free to be themselves. My son is, I guess, rambunctious is the best way to phrase it. Both of my sons, they're wild, and we had gone to right before we discovered Londonderry, we had gone to the local public school, and everything was so rigid and regimented, and I just thought, like, he's gonna hate this. He's never gonna. I don't know how academically he'll succeed if he's not allowed to be himself, if he's not allowed to move and to, kids are not meant to just sit. And if you're watching this at
Yeah.
home, I can guarantee you have not just sat and watched the whole time, right? You're moving, you're dancing, you're singing, jumping. And so I wanted him to be in a place that embraced that and let him move and dance and sing. And so when we went to tour it, the first thing I said was, "This is not the kind of school that exists in real life. This is the kind of school that you see in the movies." And you're like, "Oh, that is what school is supposed to be like." But I've never in my life seen it happen in person. And you know, in kindergarten class, when she said, "Yeah, if he's having a moment where he can't sit through reading, if he needs to get up and go run the hallway, he can do that." And I was like, "Oh, you would trust my child? You would
This
give."
school is for me.
Yeah, I'm like, that you're giving kids the respect that they deserve, to be as free as they need to be and to manage themselves, right? So they become more responsible.
Yeah. Yes.
So I think that part gets overlooked a lot.
Yeah. No, it's so important. You I often have conversation with parents, and they tell me, my 3-year-old won't be still. They're being 3-year-olds, right?
Yes.
They're not supposed to.
Right.
They're not supposed to.
So, I mean, you can either try to discipline out of them and then hope that later in life they get that spunk back, or you can just embrace it and watch them grow into who they want to be.
And watch them blossom.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Wonderful. Well, Sarah, thank you so much. It's been such a joy having you on again. And I'm so glad that, we listened to the petitioners and brought you back.
Well, thank you. We'll be back again soon, and don't be surprised if you hear from my son. He would love to
Wonderful. I
read
can't
a.
wait. And that's what we need to petition again. We need to petition him to be here next time. So
Oh, he will.
Madison and I, it was fantastic. We just talked about it. We laughed about it. It was beautiful to
Well, good. Thank
see.
you.
So, boys and girls, we want to thank you all for joining us once again on Reading 365. We will be here every day until September 30th, 2021, reading to you and sharing stories, wonderful stories like Sarah did this morning. So we thank you again. Have a
Yep.
wonderful day, everybody. Bye bye.
Thank you.